Hey y'all, my name is Sarah, and today's book review is on Wings of Ebony by J.L. Non-spoilers. I give this book a 3 out of 5 stars. This is Elle's first debut novel, and I must say, I kind of enjoyed it. Our main character, her name is Rue, and we have two backdrops. One in the fictional world country of Gizon, and parts of Houston, H-Town, baby. Our main character, Rue, she was from Houston, but an incident happened to where her dad, after so many years of never seeing him, he came for her, took her back to Gizon. She was understandably not happy about that because she has basically a family that looks after her, you know, the people of the neighborhood, and she does have a younger sister. Well, it's been a year. She manages to go back to check up on her sister, but then trouble finds her on both sides, and we kind of have a mystery going with a whole bunch of things at stake here. This book was interesting. I will give it that. The author, JL, she introduced this world of Gizon, its culture and everything, and I saw what she was going with, but I think the double-edged sword for the story was Rue's POV, because it was first person. Now, for those of y'all who don't know, first person is the I and me POV, and you can go certain ways, but there's also restrictions to that. I enjoyed it as Rue's perspective because we saw and felt kind of like how Rue was struggling with things, and the first half marker, it was kind of like a mix, but you also see how it's kind of limited as well, especially when it came to describing certain dire situations. Another thing that kind of got me was the writing structure, because there are times where we see above a new chapter, it's saying a year later, 3 months later, 7 months later, and then it also switches back to present time without sometimes letting us know, and sometimes it does with a space in the paragraphs. Okay, I get what the author was trying to do, but it would make more sense if, like, say, you dedicated an entire chapter to the past, put it in italics, and did the space, or do the flashbacks first so we can get a better feel of what's going on with Rue, and then put what's going on, because that's kind of what confused me a little bit sometimes. It took me out of the moment. It's like we're in this really intense moment going on in present day, and then we get a flashback for some more info that we could have gotten at the beginning, so that kind of took me out of the moment. I could kind of relate to Rue, not with her, the situation that put her in where the story starts, but with her relationship with her community and with her sister, because she is, like she would always say, ride or die. She cares so much for her neighborhood, East Row, and she would do anything for her younger sister, Tasha. So that's like the bigger sister in her, and she really, really cares for the people that always looked after her when she was young with her moms, and after her mom's passed, the community was right there to bounce and help her and Tasha before, you know, the legal system got in the way. I would probably do a whole bunch of stuff for my sister because I love her dearly, so I was like, I was able to understand some things, some decisions that Rue made when it came to that particular scenario. It's just sometimes people found that out and they used her emotions against her, so that also could be the double-edged sword. One thing that kind of did get me, especially, was this felt like it could have taken place anywhere in our world for those scenarios, and it took me a while to figure out which part of Houston Rue was from, because I was thinking maybe she's from southeast, southwest, maybe somewhere close to north side. There was a mention of a Shipley's, but then there's a mention of east side, and I looked at the author's notes, and she said Scott Street, and it's like, oh, okay, so she's kind of placing East Row in Southeast. Okay, I got that. It took me a while because she kind of mentioned a couple of, oh, Houston, and then she named it East Side, West Side. I was like, okay, I'm getting a little picture now. I'm getting a little picture. So I think Rue's from Southeast. Cool for you, girl. But I was like, if you wanted to show more of Houston, I think you could, like, named a few more things. I was waiting for an Easter egg hunt, but I didn't get that. And besides that, this was a interesting, really good debut novel for this author, and am kind of interested if she has any more projects ahead. And yeah, that's as far as I can get into non-spoilers. Wings of Ebony by J.L. 3 out of 5 stars. My non-spoilers! Spoilers. Now, like I said, it's been a year since Rue was taken from her home, and that was because a year prior her mom was killed in their home, and of course child services came, took her sister, and they all came for her until her dad, Sims, showed up. Rue knew nothing about this man. He shows up, I'm your daddy. He takes her to a place with magic and kind of expects her to adjust in a way. So it's been a year, and Rue managed to sneak out because apparently you're not supposed to be doing this. She goes see her sister, who she hasn't seen in a year, and just give her a present, make sure she's doing good. Awesome. This is also where we get some info dump moments where they are needed, to where I could have used this to begin with, but we're taking us out of the moment. This is where we find out that there are rules to being from Gisan, and that is that you can't touch normal people. First of all, we have onyx bound in our wrists to allow us to do magic, because that. And the other thing is because if you touch a normal person, they see and feel everything you've experienced. So that is a major data dump that maybe some can handle and maybe some can't. Things are going as how Rue would predict. She gave Tasha, her younger sister, the present. She wanted to make sure she got on the bus for school. Cool, sweet, we're gonna be okay. But things go awry when she sees someone picking up her sister at the bus stop, and it seemed like she was about to skip school, and Rue's like, what the hell? What's going on? And there's a bunch of colorful words in this book. I get it. And I would probably be the same way. But she and Tasha do lock eyes, and the guy behind the wheel gives a weird smile, and he got a snake tattoo, and a crash is about to happen because another car is coming their way. Rue uses the magic she learned at school when she was in classes, and she stopped time for about like 30 seconds to a minute. That's all we need. And she pulls Tasha out of the car before the car wreck happens. Time resumes, and there's the accident, but the guy who drove the car is gone. So it's like, what's going on? And of course, cars, major crash, gasoline, probably not a good mix. So here's Rue with Tasha holding her. She knows that she's seeing everything, but she don't care. She got her sister out of the wreck just in time. That's good. But we also know that this is about to go, so all the pedestrians around us, we got scat, and there is a slight explosion. Rue uses her magic to kind of divert, using her own firewall to protect them from the fire. And it does save her and Tasha, but we kind of got some people around with cameras, like, cell phones. And it's like, we can't focus about that right now. We got go. And of course, some people do kind of, take Tasha to go get checked out and everything. And she promised her that she will see her again, and at the same time Rue gets a beep from her watch. Apparently there's this watch that allows her to teleport out of Gizan undetected, which is sweet, and it's made by her best friend, her only friend in Gizan, named Bree, and Bree alerts her, what did you do? Patrol is on its way, because apparently if you use magic outside Gizan, it can get detected, and the patrol, the police force of Gizan, are on their way. So problem. major problem. This is where we get one of our flashbacks that was maybe, I believe, its own chapter compared to some that were mixed in with the chapter. That was, we see the day, well, I guess you could say a couple of weeks after Rue has been in Gisan, and we are about to go through a ceremony for the youngsters. Now, Gisan is a few thousand miles off of Madagascar, and it's somewhere between the Atlantic and the Indian Ocean, so we kind of got a geographic location. And this is where it's like questioning something, because we do get Gisan. We see it's all the word technologically advanced. Sorry if I messed that up. It's one of those trick words. And we see all the oohs and the ahs. And we see the people that are kind of like level 1 Pan Am people, but they're all light skinned. And Rue and her daddy, Asim, are the only dark skinned. Looking at this at a map location, I'm like, what? And I knew something was shady the moment we see photos replaying memos of Chancellor. I was like, and how everyone has this undying worship towards him. I'm like, okay, propaganda at its finest. He's the bad guy, very much. Especially when we find out that this new Gisan, who is basically all these descendants of these 4 tribes brought together by the Chancellor, who would give the magic during the ceremony, which was the binding, where we would determine which caste the youngsters belonged to, and he would give them magic so they were loyal to him. It's not that young, it's not that old of a society, so it's like, and everyone worships him, and came up with a legend as to how he got this magic. I'm like, this is sus. Very making my skin crawl sus. I don't trust the Chancellor, nor the General, his right-hand man, because either things can go either way for right-hand mans, because Asim is third in control, the General is second. Either the right-hand man can have his own personal agendas, and maybe good or bad, or he can just be completely loyal to the Chancellor and do everything that the Chancellor wants in the shadows. So, I wonder which one this is going towards. Kinda. As I mentioned, there is a caste system. Of course there is. And it's determined basically by genetics, your family, or in this case, Rue, just trying to figure out what it is. And this is how it's determined during the binding. We have the Dwajini. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. They are the upper class. They are the ones that study the sciences, have power in politics and everything, and they are the best of the best. There's the Srukis, who are basically the coal miners, and they have the low-paying jobs, but they're mostly going to be the coal miners, because we have to get the onyx from the mountains that allow us to do magic, and that is what her friend Bree is designated to be, because both of her parents are Srukis, so she knows, oh, I was going to be that anyways, even though she is actually developing technology that a Dwajini would be making, or more advanced than them, so she's kind of like a tech genius. And there's a class that we only see like once, and it's a Mikazi, who are people that aren't put in the cast and they don't get magic. So we only have one scene where we see one, and it's just a kid that Bree helps. So it's like, after some persuasion, after the one initiating the binding ceremony, basically tells Rue, no, you're not getting bound, and the sim does pull some strings. Rue does again smell the sus about the Chancellor, especially when she's talking to Bree for the first time. How she's the book nerd. She is the encyclopedia of all the information, and she does get how weird this is. Like, not many people are questioning what happened before New Gisan, or how the Chancellor got all this, and like how his face is everywhere. So good on you, girl, for questioning things, because I smelled some sulfur when I stepped here. fast forwarding back to the present, Rue does get captured by the patrol, and he does mention the reason why she's feeling all weird woozies, because that's the effect of touching persons for the first time. And so it's like a really uncomfortable feeling, very woozy, unsettling. It's like a type of poison, but we have antidotes, or you have to wait for like a few hours for that to end. And they take her back to Gizan, but Asim is there. He's like, I will transport her to the Chancellor, because, you know, we have to go for her to answer her crimes, because apparently saving your sister's life, saving your kid's life is an offense, highly punishable in Gizan. So I'm with Rue. This is some BS, but Asim takes her, and he's trying to figure out, you know, who she saved. He figures out it was Tasha, and these two are literally arguing outside the entrance. Do you see the Chancellor? I was like, okay, Asim, I get it. You want to bond with your daughter, who's very reluctant to show you any emotions besides hostility, because you weren't there for her for a good majority of her life. You only known her for a year, and I get the hostility. But seriously, people, can we have done this still in the elevator going up, or in a closet, and not out there where people could possibly hear you? I'm just saying. Rue refuses to say who she said she touched. She's just like, you know, I'm not gonna tell you. She's being really stubborn. There's the general and the chancellor and Asim trying to talk some sense into them, like, don't punish her true heart and everything. And she does get her punishment, which she's like, okay, I can live with this. Being unbound, meaning getting her access removed, goodbye magic, and having her memories in Gizan erased. She's like, sweet, I get to go back home, be with my sister, protect my fam. I'm cool with that. Until we find out that they're going to look for the person that she touched, and they're going to kill them. Meaning Tasha. So, we ain't having this. And of course she makes this very clear. First of all, you know, getting really up in the Chancellor's face between the glass, and she pounds it and it kind of breaks, and she's like saying, I'm not afraid of you. And she remembers the time where she first met the Chancellor into now, and he really never liked her because she's half human and half Gizan. You know, we're very godlike. And he basically say, Asim should not have brought you here. You're more like them than us. And he's like that upper, how without myself kind of personality. And they refer to themselves as godlike. And I was like, Chancellor, come here. I got a little something to tell you. Plenty of gods have birthed demigods in different cultures on this planet. What makes you any different? Now that I got that off my chest, Rue does make an escape, and she has to get in the location. She uses her watch because she's got to go grab her sister, protect her, because we're about to have some patrol people coming. And she does beam out of Gizan with a tracker put into her that was put there before the interrogation. And it's like, oh, the guy that told you about the tracker, Bree's boyfriend, who happened to be on shift that day, said that was a tracker. And you're supposed to tell Bree, hey, deactivate this tracker. No, forgot about that. We were in this situation and we beamed back out. That's like, that could be a problem. We make it back to H-Town. We got a message to Tasha. We meet up at a place in public for everyone to see. Good, awesome, camouflage. And she's trying to explain things to Tasha as to why she left, not of her own volition, and what's going on, because Tasha did, you know, see everything through touching Rue. And that's where Rue notices that there's someone shady in the back who hasn't gone into the restroom, even though it's open, and he has the same snake tattoo. So we gotta bail. We do make a run for it. The guy does follow. We don't know why. And we have a problem, because Rue does confront the guy after making sure Tasha was safe. She tries to use her magic. We're having technical difficulties because her magic's not working. So our whole plan was relying on Rue's magic working, people, but it's not. So luckily an officer does show up, chase the guy away, but we have a problem. We're magicless. Bree, I need your help. We also find out that there's some shady stuff going on in East Row, because the officer didn't mention how this is the worst that she's seen by far. So what's going on in East Row? We Rambo the tracker out after we get to a safe place. Good. We do get information as to who the guy who was driving the car that Tasha was with, because she knows him. He's from, the center who helps out with the kids, plays basketball and everything. Who is Chad with a snake tattoo. Cool. We have a connection. And we just need a place to regroup because things are getting really weird. Who is this Chad guy? What is his connection? Who is the guy doing the ink for these snake tattoos? So we decided to regroup at Miss Leola's house. She was this friendly older neighbor to Rue and her family. Basically like not a grandmother, but another Thea, another aunt to her, who always took care of her and the kids of Easter. She's just that woman that you went to, and she always made sure you had a meal. Awesome. We do see Miss Leola, and she knew about Asim and his people because she's like, you kind of were a little different than them black folks. I'm glad you're back. And Rue's like, wait, you knew? She's like, oh, before we get talking into that, because your daddy wanted me to give you this stuff. Come on. I gotta give you and Tasha something to eat. Y'all looking thin. Come on, girls. It's like, okay. We'll get back to that question, but I smell something good in that house. Apparently, Miss Leola knows about Gizan through her mom, through Rue's mom and Asim, because a week before her death, Rue's mom did come to see Miss Leola and gave her 2 coins. She said, if anything happens to me, rub these together, and basically Rue's dad will come for her to protect her. And she did do that after, the death of Rue's mom, and Asim did show up. And before leaving, Asim made Miss Leola promise that if something ever happened and Rue came looking around, she'd give her this box. So, okay, Miss Leola, she's honoring the wishes of Rue's parents. And at the same time, while Miss Leola is looking for that box, Bree does show up because things are going on and we need her tech skills. And it's through these tech skills that we find out how, Rue's magic is now working, because the grave robbery happened back in the day. So, in order to make sure the onyxes didn't work, Rue has been declared deceased. So being dead means no magic. Awesome, we have that one out of the way. Miss Leola does find the box of mementos, and one of them is Rue's mom's golden necklace, a necklace that she always wore, never took off. She was even buried with it. But it's actually, thanks to Bree, this and the other item in the box has magic in it. This necklace allows you to be hidden by Gizan people, and that's how Rue's mom was undetected for so long. She respectively gives that to Tasha because we gotta protect our little sis. But the golden cuff is warm, burns Bree, and gives off whispers. What is this cuff? We're also looking for a scrapbook that Rue has, because a ex of hers knew tattoos, and we have the possibility of finding who has the snake tattoo. So while we're looking for the scrapbook, this ex, who does help Miss Leola around at the house, Julius, shows up, and it's actually not weird at all, because he kind of cool. I mean, yeah, he kind of changed while they were together, but now he kind of feels more of a friend slash brother who's got Rue's back in situations, because he kind of does help a lot. And by doing so, because they're catching back up, it's been a year, kind of cute and everything. I'm like over at the table eating the pound cake, which is so delicious. Tasha does show up with the scrapbook, and Rue is like, yo, not the time, sis, can't you read the room? Julius is having a kick. He's like, oh, cool, memory lane. Until he sees all the tattoo pictures. And it's like, why are you looking for these people? And Rue tells him about the snake tattoo guys coming up on them twice. And he's like, that sounds like Leto's gang. And she's like, who's Leto? And Julius is like, let me show you. And he turns on the TV, and news station after news station after news station are evidence of deaths, drugs, fighting in the street, shootings. And he says that Leto's crew basically owns the city. So we have a gang taking over H-Town, and their prime haunt is in East Row. After after making sure that Tasha was safe and Bree went back to Gizon to try to see if she can flip her Rue's magic back on, Julius does take Rue to where Ludo's HQ is, and that's on the east side. That's how I figured, like, oh, okay, she's from southeast, because I've been a long drive if she was from southwest. We do make it to Designs, the HQ of Ludo's crew. We hear that he's pushing drugs through Rue's old high school to the west side, and we're trying to figure out what's going on. And we see Ludo hiding, we're hiding, and this is where it got me. I'm like, oh, moments, because I did not see this one coming. I was expecting something different, like some random guy, but it's like, no, the one causing hell right now is the general. And I honestly did not see that coming. I was with Rue, like, yo, I'm getting flack for saving my sister. The general is out here messing with my hood. What the hell? And we get one of those moments where I did enjoy the first person point of view for a really, really sad moment where I was sad. Is because we see a moment where they brought one of the kids from the high school that Rue kind of knew. The kid's name is Brian, and he didn't want to be pushing the drugs nor taking them. So in the general's mind, in his crew's mind, that was a problem. So they were gonna eliminate the problem. And Rue really needed her magic to work. She was trying to get Bree to turn it on. She said she was having difficulty. And Rue witnesses the death of Brian. And that really hit home, especially when they left and she tried saving him afterwards and he just died in her hands. And she realized that, you know, she couldn't do anything. She needed her magic, and she didn't want to see another death happening. So she decides to go back to Gizon to take care of this herself. We need the magic on because the general, he ain't messing around. He messing up Eastro, taking over Houston, and things could possibly go downhill from here on out. But Rue has to first priority get her magic working. Things back at Gizon aren't doing so well because Rue sneaks back there. She's looking around, and we got wanted posters on her face on every single platform. It's like, oh, not good, because we're also being chased. We do make it to Bree's house, and I thought something shady was going on because her mama was acting too nice. Bree was kind of stuttering, and Luke was being too friendly. I'm like, I don't know if I'm safe here, but it's safe because Asim does show up. He takes Rue, promising to get her magic working, but first she needs to follow him. Okay, do we have time for this? But do we have time for this? Can we make this fast? Because situations are happening back home. He takes her to Yeo Peak, where that's where the onyx is, you know, forged, brought back down for production. And there's this wooden oakish door with gold in it, inscribed into it. And Rue realizes, because the cuff, she still has the cuff in her hoodie, but she realizes not only that they're similar, but she can feel these voices coming from each. And Asim does confirm they're kind of the same. We're traveling through the mines, because Asim is our guide. And the general does, you know, chase after them, because he kind of looked around and he heard them. And we're running. And we make it to a wall that Asim pushes Rue through and him, and it solidifies right behind them to prevent the general from entering. So I'm like, hidden wall. And there's a person greeting us. And we find out that hidden behind this wall is a old society, an old tribe. And they're not like the people of New Gizon. They are not grays, but they are other dark-skinned people like Asim, and they were the apparently original people with magic, because the original tribes, Rue did question this in class, and the teacher got frustrated because she wanted to answer a basic question, what happened before New Gizon. It's very shady, before the Chancellor, but we do find out here, because these people don't have onyxes and they're using magic, we find out that they were the original people of Gizon that did have magic, but they didn't want to get into any trouble with other tribes when they saw the magic. Smart, I get that. But a situation happened where the Americans showed up on their shores. They wanted to help get rid of them, but the Americans had already left, and the people of the tribe of Gisan saw that they had magic, so they were trying to keep up, you know, a nice little treaty, a truce. Trade was doing very well, but a sickness came and started killing off these people with magic, and then here comes the general who harnessed magic, who they called stole magic, and that's how he got loyalty from people. He was able to give people magic in return that they were loyal to him, and there are some people that were being chased who would have been killed if they hadn't found sanctuary behind this wall. And of course, Asim was too young. The chancellor thought that he could raise him to be his own and also keep a potential backup in case, you know, the magic ran out. But Asim knew what was going on. And the reason behind the golden cups was that they were imbued with the old ancient magic of the ancestors. So both of them together powerful, both of them separate, not really. So the plan was to separate them. And that's how, you know, Asim met Rue's mom. So that he left the cuff in her care as well as the protection. So it made it kind of near impossible for the chancellor to find. And it is here that we find out that the ancestors are reacting to Rue. She is getting, when the cups are put on together, she feels their power. And that's where we get the chosen one moment. You are meant to lead us out to the darkness, to help your people. And I get it, Rue. It's very overwhelming to be having this all laid out on us. One string in this story that I felt was very part of the plot but kind of didn't go nowhere is that Rue's been having these dreams of this kid and they're running, and she does get a continuation of the dreams to where she sees an ancestor who's really angry back then because he wanted to defend his people. They were dying, and he saw in that dream Rue as the invader, and she wanted to protect this kid because he was really scared. And I think that was her grandfather, Asim's father, because she heard a baby cry and he stopped, and she somehow knew that was Asim. But it's like thinking, wasn't this kid Asim, or was he some really old ancestor that had magic or anything? But the dreams kind of stopped there where she realizes how angry that ancestor was. But it's like continuation or something, I don't know. It was there. I felt like it was dropped. I don't know why. I would have been more interested in seeing where that dream took us. I don't know. Rue meets a kid, a guy, a young man named Jamal, who is basically a firebender, sweet. But it's like, Rue, sweetie, do we honestly have time to be flirting right now? Because we got a situation. We got to figure out how these cups work to make sure the magic works to not only help your people, but also to make sure we can take care of East Row. And the only way how to do that is to have information going on that's in Gisan, and that's where we bring it back in Bree, even though the people are very reluctant because she's a gray, so I get the hard feelings. And this is where we see some colors to Bree, because we kind of got that from one moment back, you know, in a flashback. But Rue does lay it out for reals on Bree, and she questions because she knows that Rue wouldn't lie. But that's where we see a selfish part of her as well, because she as a lower caste wanted to prove herself to be better, so she was like top of everything. She's making all these sketches, and then she's saying to Rue, are you saying everything I've worked for was for nothing? And it's like, selfishness is showing because she's thinking of herself at the moment, not the very fact that yes, everything she told was a lie, that was told to her was a lie, which is very understanding, very overwhelming, but she's still thinking about her, and it's how it's affecting her and the way how she worked for her own gains, and she's not thinking of the bigger picture. So that's kind of conflicting. So I'm like, Bree, I think we may be parting ways. I don't know. Rue is understanding, getting really angry about this. I smell a trap because Rue gets a message from Luke saying Tasha been taken, and she's like, I gotta go get my sister. So without telling anyone, because we have very nice heart-to-heart moments with Asim, we see their father daughter bond growing, she beams back to Eastro, to H-Town, to check up on Tasha. She's freaking out. She get back to Miss Leola's house. Miss Leola ain't here, but she does check on Tasha. She fine. She fine. It's a trap because Luke was shady as hell. He knew about Tasha before her name was even mentioned. And that was a slip on the tongue that we all caught. It's like, what's going on? And we get attacked by Leto, the general's gang, and they're after the cuffs. We put up a good fight. Rue puts up a good fight. Miss Leola shows up. She whacks him upside the head with a can. Don't mess with the older woman with a bag of groceries. And we're trying to get out of here. But the general does show up. He gets the cuffs. And he destroys them. And they're also burning down East Row. And everything's going to hell. So this is where I felt like this is where the enemy knew how to work Rue. They knew what made her emotional. They knew what was treasured by her, dear to her heart, and they used that against her. I get it, Rue, we're passionate. I would have done kind of much the same things, especially if I had to do with my family, especially my sister, but that's like the double-edged sword. Once people know that, they know how to put you in play to their own advantage, and that's exactly what the general did. He put you to where it would do good for him, and in the end he got a better outcome than he wanted. So it's like, and we also found out that he killed Rue's mom. So it's like consequences to an action, which I have to admit for jail, I kind of appreciated the consequences because we see certain actions have a reaction, and there were some things that Rue was running into blindly, so we saw what happened when that happens, and it was devastation. Sim does show up to help Rue and fix the cuffs, but we also know that's not good because we found out that the Chancellor never trusted Sim after he found out about Rue, and so he put it to where he put a poison in Sim to if he ever used his magic ever again, the poison would kick in and kill him. And the only way how to get off of Gisan to our world, to East Row, was to use magic. So now the clock is ticking, and he uses the last of his strength to help remake the cuffs. And it's like, and he also shows her memories of what it could have been if he had been able to stay with her and her mom and the life that they could have had. And it's like, and then he dies? I was like, yo, that was a sad moment. The death of Brian was very emotional, very shocked to the system. What happened with the cuffs was mind-blowing. Like, that really just happened. We're screwed. What are we going to do? But here comes a Sim, and he makes the ultimate sacrifice for how much he loves his daughter. And he has so much faith in her that she will be alright because her mom raised diamonds, and they are sharp. And I was like, yo, that got me in the feels, people. Rue does her own bad signal. She calls Julius and say, hey, call up the crew. I got a plan how to get the general with evidence. And we make it back to Gisan to recruit help because Bree is coming to terms with what she's learned. She's still, but she's coming to terms. That's good. So we have her and Jamal who will be broadcasting the recording that Rue is going to get, because she's going to have the general confess to his crimes and to show to the people of Gisan, as well as have recordings and everything and information, evidence back over for Eastro to put him away. We have a plan. One of the people of Leto's gang, of the general's gang, makes mistakes, tries to loot some things. Rue's got her magic working a-okay, very moments, and she gets him to send a signal to tell all the members to meet up at Design's bag, Boss Man's orders, and Julius and some guys make sure that they there recording stuff, and keep them there until the feds show up. Sweet. And we also managed to get the general to come down to Easter for a confrontation with him and Rue, and we are set. People are in place. Tasha, who refused to leave, is in hiding across the street, making sure everything's okay, and we're good. We're set. We need the confession. We get a whole bunch more than the confession, and it feels like everything here going down at Easter was the general's doing, then the chancellor's. A confrontation does happen. We have magic flying everywhere. Questions asked. We're busy right now. And that's where we get another shocker where I didn't see coming. For real, I did not see it coming. JL, awesome with the writing on this part. You kept this hidden real well. So, Rue gets this weird feeling about the general because he's yelling things I heard that only a person here would be saying. And she touches his face because it's always more grayer than the people were at Gizon, and it kind of slips, and it's like, you're human. He was one of the Americans that came to the island, and he working for the chancellor. Yo, is that stuff still recording? But Rue lets down her guard for a moment. The general gets a better hand of her. Tasha comes out to help a little bit. They try fighting. The general takes her as hostage, Tasha's hostage. Rue kind of gets taken over as well, and he captures them both and takes them back to Gizon. So, problem. First of all, was that stuff recording? Because Rue couldn't find the recorder. So it's like, you push the red button, right? You push the button, correct? We're back at Gizon. We have 60 steps before getting to the center to where we're possibly gonna die. And then all of a sudden, we see the recording up on the screens. It worked! Because Jamal is there, and so is Bree. They're making sure that the recording is going, and everyone sees the confession, and then everything goes to hell. That was a little confusing to me, because like one little recording in the world shatters. I'm like, surely they would have been mad, confused, and everything. Not basically destroying the city, but I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna stand right here. Y'all go your way. I do not want to die. Rue gets Tasha to safety because Jamal comes with an unconscious Bree because she's not looking so good. And Rue goes after the general. She catches him and she has plans for him, but we have to find the chancellor because his secrets are out as well. At least Bree gets her revenge because not only does she remove her onyxes because she didn't want magic that was stolen, she gets revenge on Luke because, you know, he was the one that betrayed the team. So good for you. Only problem is, you know, the chancellor disappeared. He beamed out of there before we can get our hands on him, so there's that problem. But we will settle for something even more better, because at least Rue does get her revenge on the general. She takes him back to Easter, all tied up, and we have reporters there. And Rue, oh, revenge is so sweet, gives the general the truth serum that she snatched from the very beginning of the book and uses it on him. And yes, we find out kind of person he is, especially how greedy, and you know, that as well, and how in return of killing people that were like Rue and doing more shady business to keep his things going over here in Easter, the chancellor gave him magic, made up his disguise and background, and put him in power. And now he is confessing to everything because of the serum. We all know where the chancellor is. The general is arrested. The people of Gizon are in turmoil. And here we are, finally deflating after all the events that happened. And Rue is with Julius. She shows him what's been going on. She finally, you know, takes his hand. He sees everything. And he's like, wow, all of this stuff going on. But he still got her back. And it ends off with Bree sending a message saying the chancellor broke into Yeo Peak through the entrance and he's coming. We need help. And it's like, wait, what? Okay, we gotta go. And Julius wants to come to help Rue because, you know, we family, we got this. That would be really interesting for that to happen. But she's like, no, I need you to be eyes and ears for me down here on Easter. She gives him the watch to, you know, alert her if anything happens. And he's like, don't you need this to get back to Gisan? She's like, no, I got a little trick for that. She got her magic. She got that ready for her. And right in the middle of all these reporters, all these cameras, and on live television, you know, KHOU, she beams out to go help her people in Gisan. I'm like, okay, next chapter. Acknowledgements. Are we seriously ending the book on the fact that Chancellor Broken Chiyo Peak possibly caused harm to Rue's people, and she beamed out with herself on national TV, KHOU? And we're ending it that way? What? No! Oh, that mean. JL, that mean. But we kind of don't end up off there because we do get letters between Asim to Naomi, Rue's mom, and to Rue as well as Miss Leola's recipe for her cake that I'm kind of tempted to try because it sounds so delicious. That's how we end off the book. That's how we end off with the book, with a delicious recipe. If y'all think I'm joking, it right here, people. It right here. It right here. And that's the end of spoilers. As y'all can see, I was very intrigued by this book, you know, H-Town represent. And after we got in past the part where we found out that Tasha was going to be in real trouble, and we saw the connections between the guy that was driving her snake with the snake tattoo to the guy in the place with the snake tattoo, that's when the story took off. And that's where, okay, I'm on board with this. I got this. The beginning of the part, yeah, it felt like a little trudge. It felt like, you know, how we were trying to tie in these two worlds together, and with it being first person point of view, so a little confusing on that part because, again, first person, it can go either way. We got the emotional feel tie was going through Rue's mind that way, more close to the heart, which I got. But then we also had the parts where we got a little confused on some situations of describing scenarios, so there's that. I've already mentioned how we had the mix between present time to do the flashbacks, how that could have been different wise. After a while, I was able to go around with it. Still would have preferred a different way. I would have liked to see how the dream plot played out more. I had a feeling that JL knew what she wanted to go with, but it's like it kind of felt like it dropped at the last moment. I wonder why. Besides that, and after I say we got to page, I don't know, 130. That's where it took off. The mystery was there, the intrigue was there, the stakes were high. I really enjoyed that. I got Rue's motivations, and I also got her weaknesses that made her human in a way. Beaming out like that with reporters at the end, that still got me. I'm like, that could be a problem in so many ways. Y'all are worried about just a few Americans finding their way to Gisan. KHOU plus YouTube, that can be problems. That can get the conspiracy theory going to where people can actually get funding and find Gisan, and they are in turmoil. Their society is collapsing. There's no proper leader to guide them. The Chancellor is getting the last bang of his buck. Problems on that. It's very open-ended at the end, if you look at it that way. And besides that, I did enjoy this book very much. The intrigue was there. The connection again was there. And if JL does the next book, I will be waiting. And yeah. Wings of Ebony by JL. 3 out of 5 stars. My name is Sarah, and bye!